Now, a lot of times people go into jobs like this because they say, well, I'm not a people person, so I'll do something with my hands. Well, guess what? HVAC is a people job, especially if you're going to residential. But it's not scary. It doesn't mean you have to be a talker. Doesn't mean you have to chat people's heads off. So there's a kind of like a point between somebody who's like a clown. How many people know people who just talk constantly and never stop talking? They love to talk right? Somebody's looking around. Who's that? Okay. All right, so you have that, and then the other side is like the mime person. They never talk. They don't want to talk to nobody. Okay, so you don't have to be this guy and say like, well, if you're there quiet and say, man, I got to be, you don't have to be this guy, okay? But you can't be this guy. So you got to find your way somewhere in the middle maybe. And I'm going to show you why that is. And for me, I've noticed from hiring multiple people, so there's going to be a lot of people that are going to go out into the workforce. Let's see, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's 10 people here. So let's say there's 4 people. You hire 4 people, and all 4 of you go to the same company. You can send 4 people to the same jobs, same customers, same jobs over a several-month period, and they will all get different results with the same people, right? Some people will continue to get 5-star reviews. How do you do a star like that? Some people will get 1-star reviews. Of course, this person is not going to be at a company very long, all right? Some people will get 5-star reviews a lot and get a lot of revenue. Revenue, the company's not just about revenue, but revenue is tied to solving a problem for the customer, right? So some people will go, and every house they go to, let's say a service call is $89. Everybody know what a service call is? It's a dispatch fee, something like that, troubleshooting diagnostic fee. So let's say a company charges $89 just to show up. So you will have people that will get $89, $89, $89. Every single call they go to, they leave, this is all they ever get. And then you have some people that will leave and they'll be average $2,000. You have some people average $500. The reason I show this is I can take 4 of you and send you to the same exact people and you'll all get 4 different results. Why is that? So the machine has the same problem. If I send you to a job where it's a bad compressor, I send him to a job with a bad compressor, I send him, bad compressor, and him, and you all 4 get different results. You may leave with only $89 on every job. Then that shows you that it's not about your skill on fixing machines only. The skill in explaining and talking to the customer is what drives revenue to the company. And what does revenue to the company also mean? Revenue to the company also means you're solving customers' problems. This customer where they left and they only got the 89, this customer called for a reason. They have a problem. Their house is hot or their house is cold. You leave with $89, what does that mean? Their house is still cold or it's still hot. So you didn't solve the customer's problem. What happens when you don't solve customers' problems? They get upset. Do they ever call the company? They're not going to call you back. And this is the most frustrating thing that I see in my side of the business as a manager is I call these customers. When I see this 89, I will call them. Hey, did everything go well? Blah, blah. Oh, yeah, we didn't choose to do the repair at this time. Okay, no problem. Call us anytime. Then I'll call them again a week later because it's still summertime. It might be 100 degrees. You know how hot Fayetteville gets. I'll call them a week later to follow up. And they'll say, oh, I already got it fixed. Do you mind telling me how'd you get it fixed? Oh, I called another company. Oh, what was the repair? And when I find out it's the same diagnosis this guy made, but they had another company repair it, then I'll ask, so what made you go with that company and not with us? Well, that company, they explained it really well, and I really understood the process. That's a problem, right? So a company cannot survive on this. You can diagnose the mess out of units, and you're going to leave Fayetteville Tech, and you're going to diagnose the mess out of units. But a diagnosis is not only what we're doing, we're also trying to solve the customer's problem. We don't want them sleeping in the house 100 degrees every night. We want to diagnose, and then we want to fix it for them. Because if we fix it for them and we solve their problem, they're going to call us again and they're going to refer us to our friend. If we diagnose but they don't feel comfortable with us, then they're not going to call us back and they're not going to refer to the friends. And you're going to have the same people with multiple different results. And that's why soft skills are important. That's why you can't be mime guy. Like I said, you don't have to be clown guy. And Justin, you came in this with the clown guy is where when I talk about sales skills and soft skills, introverts tend to be like, oh man, I got to be this insane talker. You don't have to be the clown that's, doing the, yes ma'am. You don't have to do that. But you can't just be your own. If you're an introverted person, you don't like to talk. So you said thug guy. I don't know where he lands on here. I think he lands on the guy. Okay. All right. Yeah. Doug is the guy here. He didn't get hired. He's Doug. Yeah. Okay. So you see where I'm going. Okay. So you have to turn on that switch and say, okay, man, I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people, but I don't have to be a jokester. But I do have to increase my skills on how to explain things to people and make them feel comfortable with going with me. And a lot of that stuff, the company controls because they give you a uniform, right? So you see, I'm out of uniform. I have the shirt, but I have the jeans. We would come with nice cargo jeans and some boots and stuff like that because that communicates something, right? Like you see, I have this Gucci belt on. If I go to a service call with Gucci belt on, what's that going to communicate to a customer?
He's out for money. He's out for
Right. So things communicate different things, right? If I come to a service call with my uniform and some super nice fresh J's, what does that communicate?
You don't want to get your feet dirty.
Right. This guy's some kind of style guy. But you come with the boots, you come with the cargo pants, this guy's a technician. So a lot of that stuff the company does. But then the other side, only you control. Because this is what happens when someone calls you, right? First thing they're going to do, let's take the customer base, right? Customer base is, in residential, women, all right? Most of the time, women call companies. Most of the time, even if the husband calls a company, the woman is at the house, right? This is just the demographics. When you ring the doorbell, and that woman looks out that peephole, what is her number one concern? Safety. You hit it right on it. What's your name?
RJ.
Okay, RJ. Safety. That's her number one concern. When you're home and you peep out that door, someone rings the doorbell, you look out. Is safety your number one concern? You, not your spouse. No, right? So we got to understand that our customer base, it's all men in here, our customer base doesn't have the same concerns as we have. He's not concerned about safety, so he may not think about it. Oh, what's the big deal? Blah, blah, blah. Well, she has a different concern than you, which is why we ring the doorbell, and then we back off of the porch and give space in between the door. I don't care about that, because if you rush me in my door, we're going to fight, or I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to kill you, right? The woman knows that if you rush the door, she cannot protect herself. But she does feel like if I open the door, and there's this much space between me and Justin, he can rush and I can slam it and close it. Right off the bat, you've communicated safety. If right off the bat, you're standing up on that door, even though she may open it because you have the uniform, you have the truck, we park the trucks right in front of the door for a reason. So they can look out the peephole and see he's got a uniform and he's got a lettered truck. He's pretty safe, right? But if you're standing right on that door, and their first emotional thought is, this makes me nervous, even though they may open it, you are now fighting against a very strong emotion, right? So you're already working against the power curves. You're already heading towards being this guy. And I'm just giving you examples and things that I've done. So what is the second thing that a woman may feel concerned about? Dude, you got all this. This is exactly what, okay, ripped off. Why? Exactly, right? Yeah, yeah. So how do we fight this? We fight this by building rapport. What is rapport? You guys all know how to do rapport, right? Rapport is just connecting to people. Smiling, right? I have that face, and my wife tells me all the time, I'm not approachable. And I work on it. I just walk around with this serious face, And I don't look up. So I have to remember when I ring doorbells and I go to customers' houses, I have to remember all the time, Michael, smile. And like I said, you don't got to be the joker, but at least look pleasant. You know, you step off the porch and you look pleasant. They open the door. Hey, good morning, ma'am. Oh, good morning. And then you explain yourself, right? So you introduce, hey, you said RJ? I'm RJ from such and such, heating and cooling. I'm here to fix your AC. Oh, okay, come on in. Right, so you've introduced yourself, you've done all that. Versus all of the opposites. And you're working against all of this. And all of it's important. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you 2 reasons why. Number 1, you guys can probably guess. There's a couple reasons. I don't think you'll guess this one. Okay, I think you'll guess this one. What's the number 1 reason you can't never convert service calls to repairs for a company? What's the number 1 reason why you don't want to be this, but you want to be this? Sustainability. The company needs to make money. Okay, revenue. All right, revenue. And this doesn't matter if you work for yourself. You can go out. How many people want to start their own company at some point? Anyone? Okay. All right. If you go out and work for yourself or you work for a company, it doesn't matter. This is important. It doesn't matter. So if you work for a company and you don't bring in revenue, you won't last long because they got to pay you, right? Or you won't last long because you'll stay and you'll never get promoted and you'll be like, I'm out of here. I'm starting my own thing. But you can't get promoted without revenue. If you go out on your own, you won't stay in business if you don't know how to do revenue. And if you think and believe revenue is tied to your ability to be a good technician, you will not last. All right, that's just a pro tip. I talk to a lot of companies all the time. I get hit up on Facebook all the time from people that are one-man show HVAC companies, and they never understand that. They spend all of their time and money becoming a better HVAC tech and fixing things better and doing all these classes, and their money never grows because revenue is not tied to your ability to fix machines. It is tied to it, but without understanding that people don't buy off of your ability to be a good tech, they buy off of how they feel about you. So our job is to fix machines and make the customers feel safe, make the customers feel heard, make the customers feel like you know what you're talking about. I had a technician, he was one of the best HVAC technicians in Fayetteville. He was this guy for a long time. He eventually became one of these guys. But the thing was, they didn't think that he knew what he was talking about. So I ran him through some role play. I said, okay, I'm a customer. Put my chapstick down. So I said, I'm a customer. Explain to me how you would explain, let's pick something, capacitor transformer. We ran through that and I found out what the problem was. His communication was always words that weren't concrete. So he would say, how you doing, ma'am? So I think what's going on with your unit is we have to, yeah, see, you already got that. I think, right? Yeah. I think what's going on with your unit is this, and I'm pretty sure that if we change this capacitor that your unit will be working really well. Oh, okay, well, how do you know this, and that? Well, we do some tests, and I think that you can do this. All of that communicates, bro, this brother, he don't know what he's doing. Even though he did, he knew what he was doing. So we had to shift, and I had to teach him how to use confident words, even though we're all not always confident. There's a thing called, it's a complex, imposter syndrome. You guys ever heard of imposter syndrome? It's very powerful. Everybody has imposter syndrome to some level. We just manage it better. Some people manage it better than others. Imposter syndrome means I'm not really that good at this. Well, y'all are good at it. Speak as though you're good at it, even though you feel like, man, this might not be the best diagnosis. We all feel that way. Don't communicate that to the customer. So I would say, I would ring the doorbell. First of all, I would do a really good diagnosis, and then I would isolate and test and make sure that I'm right. So RV Air is what we used to use in the military. Man, I don't even remember. Verify, analyze, isolate, repair, and check. I don't know. I'll have to remember. RV Air, man, Air Force had to do that over and over. But isolate is the one where it makes you get a good diagnosis. So you look and you say, okay, this is a bad contactor. Then you isolate it. You bypass it. Oh, the unit works now, I bypassed that, or I did this. Okay, so now I'm comfortable. Now I have to change my speech, even if I'm not sure, and I'm going to say, hey, Mr. RJ, so what's happening is your contactor is bad. It went bad because the coil shorted out, which caused the fuse to blow. What I need to do is change that contactor and that fuse, and it'll be this much, and I can get it done in about 30 minutes. Would you like to move forward? That was more confident, right? Now you kind of feel like, bro, let's do it. We have to learn how to do that. And the good thing about it is, and one thing I've loved for years being an employer, this doesn't just help you in HVAC. This is a social skill that helps you with the rest of your life to speak confidently, right? You come in an interview, you speak confidently. You go and approach, how many people married? All right, so there's a lot of people now. How many people not married? Not married. How many people have girlfriends? Okay, so we got different hands. Okay, you approach some woman and you're not confident, it ain't gonna work, right? You gotta be confident. You may not be working with a lot, but you gotta be confident. I knew a guy in high school, I told you we had 6,000 students in our high school. I knew a guy in high school, this dude, I don't know, he probably was super broke, family was probably super broke. This guy came to school with his sweatsuit, and this was when sweatsuits, it wasn't a thing. He came with holes in his sweat. This guy had every phone number, or every girl in that school, because he was just confident. I mean, he just felt like he was the man, or at least he put that forward. And that's one thing that we have to do is speak with confidence. All right, what's my time check on? Oh, we're doing good. Okay, so what have we went by so far? Okay, all right, emotions. So we got to manage the emotions or perception, we could say, of us from the customer. Some things the company hands you by giving you a lettered truck, giving you a uniform, 5-star reviews, a lot of this stuff before you show up at the door, we've made sure that the customer feels comfortable with us. But there's some stuff we can't control, right? So emotions or perception, I know my handwriting is not that good. All right, and then number 2 is confidence, all right? And be confident that the company will back you up, or you'll back your work up if you misdiagnosed it. You know, you may say, oh man, I'm not sure. But at some point, and I always tell my technicians, make a decision. Because they'll call, I'm thinking it's this and I'm not sure. And at some point, you got to make a decision. You went to school for 2 years. You have training out in the field for another 2 years. And be confident, and you diagnosed it to the best of your ability. This is what it is. You tell them as this is what it is. And if you're wrong, then you just have a follow-up conversation with the customer after that. And the company will refund the customer or whatever it is, right? Okay, so confidence is number 2. All right, now I'm going to show you this, and this is interesting. So I said there's 2 reasons why you need to not be this guy and not convert, right? So we can call this conversions. So I'm handing you a job, a service call. So me as a company, I spend multiple thousands of dollars a month on the brand, on the Facebook ads, on the Google ads, on the postcards, multiple thousands, and that brings in customers. So I get a customer, let's say it's Carl, he calls in, I'm handing you Carl. So the $89 that I got from Carl for the service call, I got that. Or you guys didn't get that. I got that by spending all this money. Now I'm handing Carl to you. Now you and only you can convert him from a diagnosis to a repair. That's why I call it conversion. All right. So the number 1 reason you have to care about converting is revenue to the company. Okay. Now, how does revenue to the company affect you? You get paid. So revenue is paycheck, right? Paycheck. What else? Pay is tied to paycheck. Promotions, growth maybe. Paycheck, promotions. And there's one big thing that's tied to that is, who said something? Experience. Okay, check this out. All right, you guys are going to love this, especially those of you that want to really grow into your career, or some that say, I want to work for a company and eventually start my own thing or whatever. This is a little blown out of proportion, okay? There's no average ticket of $10K. All right, so let's say average service call is $800, all right? Not including converting service calls to change outs. All right, so this guy's average ticket is 89. This guy's average ticket is 800. So if he works for the company for 1 year, and he works for the company in 1 year, his experience and the level of technicianship or mechanicship, I don't know what the word, you guys help me. His level of skill is way beyond his. Can you guess why? He's replacing stuff. So in a year's time, this guy has replaced 15 compressors, 30 coils, 100 capacitors, 20 transformers, 10 condensers in a year's time, because he's converting service calls to repairs. In a year's time, this guy has done 1 coil, 1 compressor. They've both left Fayetteville Tech at the same exact time and worked for a company same exact time. And a year later, these are not the same people at all. So you hurt your own experience by not converting. You get stagnant. And I've seen it time after time. I've had employees, it's just in 2020, I had 2. It was a perfect example. It was a beautiful example. These 2, I hired them. One got hired out of here and one got hired from somewhere else. They both stayed with the company for, I think, the first 18 months. The one guy, he went to a level 5 technician. So in my company, my pay is based on levels. Entry level and then 1 through 5, and your pay is based on that. And your pay is based off of your skill. So you never have to worry about, do I like you or do I like this person or any kind of, I'm going to pull out what you've done in a year and say, okay, you're right there. And you can challenge the company and say, hey, this says level 2, this is how much I should get paid. I've been meeting these goals, and right? So it gives power, subjectivity to it or whatever. Okay, so these 2 individuals, one went from an entry-level technician, I think I started him off on level 2. He went from a level 2 to level 5 in 18 months, right? So he was at $28 an hour plus bonuses. The other guy was still at a level 1 in 18 months. Same service calls, same opportunities, but this guy was converting, so he was doing a lot of work. So he would end up having to call him when he was doing repairs, and they both sat in the same class. So you see why your social skills and your soft skills are important, right? Is anybody sitting here saying like, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this soft skills thing? Anybody? No, everybody's good? You? Okay. You a little quiet?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I have a guy right now. I actually hired him out of here. I won't say his name because you guys might call him and make fun of him. But I hired him out of here last year, I think, maybe 12, 13, 14 months ago. This guy is the most quiet guy I've ever seen. I mean, he doesn't like to talk. I mean, we've had talks. I brought him over to my house before and sat down with him, and he won't say. The only person quieter than him is him. So, but this guy, I sat and talked with him. Do you know he is, at the moment, the second highest revenue producer in the company? All because he just embraced everything that I'm talking about now, and this is why I'm recording it, because I'm probably going to share this video when I start hiring people who are shy, and then I don't have to do the speech again over and over. So he just embraced this same thing. He said, hey, let's just call him Johnny, right? I said, hey, Johnny, you don't have to be a clown. All you have to do is just work on explaining things. If you know how to explain, you may not be good at rapport. He's horrible at rapport. Rapport is a social skill you kind of almost grow up with, right? Like, oh man, I got a shirt just like that, a Nike shirt just like that. You know, it's just making up stuff, right? So I said, you don't have to do the rapport thing because you're going to sound goofy, right? You're making up stuff. Oh, you like the Panthers? If you're not good at that, don't do it. But what you can do is take every repair part that you know that you would do and find a way when you're home to explain that repair in layman's terms. And if you do that, then that'll get you out of your shell because you don't have to make up something. Because homeowners don't want to hear when you say, oh, you know, your capacitor is out. You know what they hear? Meow, 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 meow. They don't know what that means. They don't care what it means. But if I say, ma'am, your capacitor is out, a capacitor is almost like a starter for a car. So there's not enough power at the house to start these big motors. So you put this capacitor in, and it just pretty much starts it up. And once it runs, it can go running. So since your capacitor is bad, the unit actually can't kick on. You find your ways to explain different things, and you have those in your playbook ready to go, and that leveled him up. So he went from not being good with words to just repeating his same preloaded speeches over and over. And that's what helped him, right? And I do the same thing. I have my preloaded speech. That's my capacitive speech. My motor speech is the same thing. I don't say, hey, you need a new condenser motor, ma'am. It's going to be $600. I'll say the compressor overheated. The compressor is the motor in there that makes all the cooling. And since your fan is out, the fan blows air across that and cools it down. And since it's out, it's not getting any airflow. Easy to understand. You figure it out. You start to tweak it. You start converting. You have your speeches. You say it. And then when someone asks you a question, that's the scary thing for really quiet people. Because then it's like, I had the speech loaded, but then they asked a question. I don't know what to say. So just get used to those questions. Okay? All right. So what's our time check? 11:36. Okay. Do we have any questions? No. Yes. Okay. All right.
Maybe like argumentative ones.
Yeah. All right.
Just walk in and they hate you.
Okay. So they walk in and they hate you. All right. So what I do is, and we talked about this in the last time I came up here. What you do is, one, you don't match their energy. It's a big mistake people do, right? Because we can tend to be defensive, and we can tend to be, and if you grew up like me, you don't want to be like, I'm getting punked. Man, I just got punked by that person, or I'm getting disrespected, or because I grew up in a survival type world. You have to erase that. Somebody's mad, they're yelling at you, they are disrespecting you. You don't match their energy. You bring a new energy, right? And so one of my go-to sayings is, well, if it's really bad, then I say, what's your name? Matthew. So I'll say, Matthew, let's start over here for a second, if you don't mind. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to hurt you, right? So can we start over and start a new conversation? Like, really, so I bring a new energy. When you bring that new energy, people start to feel stupid for that, right? And I've had that before. And then you see, when you bring that energy, it starts to become like a mirror, and they start to see themselves. If someone's cursing at you, there's levels, right? If there's racist slurs, I tell my customer, get your bag and go home. Just don't say anything back, right? You don't have to match it, and you don't have to throw something back. I say, if someone says something crazy to you and they're cursing at you, you can give them an opportunity to reset, or you get your bag and leave. It's okay. Every customer is not your customer. Now, what I don't want to see is multiple times a week, because that's going to show that something is going on with you, right? So one, you don't match their energy. Number two, you learn, and this is used in hospitals a lot, because hospitals are a place where customers are in bad, they get bad news, right? So they use this strategy. It's where you repeat the same thing over and over, right? So you go to someone, you say, hey, your compressor is out. It's going to be $4,000. And $4,000, oh gosh, you guys are here just for money, blah, blah, blah. And you say, yes, ma'am, I understand. Because you empathize, right? You always empathize. You never make them feel, well, how much did you expect it? Stupid stuff like, you empathize. Yes, ma'am, I know costs have gone up. It's crazy. You know, even at the grocery store, I've been spending a lot more money. And then you repeat. We can get the compressor done for you. It'll be $4,000. Would you like me to move forward? Blah, 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 blah. Then you repeat the same, yes, ma'am, I understand. We can get it done for you. It'll be, when you repeat yourself twice, especially 3 times, instantly, psychologically, people realize this is a waste of time conversation. I'm not going to get anywhere with this guy. When people are argumentative and you give them new conversation, there's something new to latch onto. Does it make sense? Yeah. So basically, the short answer is you just keep a calm energy. And if you have to, you call the office. Now, price objections are probably the ones you guys are going to all deal with the most, especially if you go into residential. Price objections are not a reason to not convert. All of us have price objections. I mean, nobody wakes up in the morning and expects you to spend $3,000 in their AC. It's horrible. They're already preloaded, and it's your job to make them feel comfortable that, yes, I understand things are high, but we're going to take care of you. It's going to be done. We have this warranty, blah, 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 or we have this option. So learning price objections, and one thing you can do is go on YouTube. It'll make your life easier. It's not just for the company, but Google price objections responses. And as a technician, you won't be in that conversation over and over because you'll get used to it. So does that answer your question? A good way to practice your soft skills, role playing is probably number one, right? And you do that a lot if you go to a company. I mean, we role play constantly, all the time, right? You just, I say, hey, sell me a new unit, sell me a compressor. So, and then we would go back and forth. That's probably the least threatening way to do it. Some people don't like that. That's awkward to them. The second way is to just approach people randomly in town, right? Yeah, no, if you get a customer service job, you work at McDonald's or something where this is the worst customers ever, fast food and restaurants, become a waiter. Out of everyone that I've ever hired, people who have waited tables in the past have the best soft skills. I think because they deal with horrible people. You have interactions with people every day, all day. You go to the mall, you go here, you go there. Go beyond what you normally do. So for example, if I go right now and buy some pants at the mall, what am I going to do? I'm going to go up, I'm going to buy them. She's going to say they're $99.99, give me my card, and then the conversation's over. That's an opportunity to practice the soft skills. Because what do you have to lose? Nothing. You have nothing. So you buy the pants, and then you just make up something. Hey, how long have you been working here? I've been here 10 years. Okay, you like it? And you'll learn from person to person to person that, hey, this isn't that threatening. And you learn little tweaks and tricks to pull things out of people. And I notice if you ask people the first question, they're still closed. You ask them the second question, they're still closed. At about the third question, they start to open up, right? So just start on all your interactions. You're going to look stupider sometimes because some people are just going to be like, no, yes, no. And then give up, okay, because that's that person. But then you'll find later, like, okay, this isn't that hard. Okay, and I'll give you guys a tip. If you go to a customer's house and there's somebody who's super serious, and I call it smile with the smilers and be serious with the serious. You go to a job and somebody's like a customer, oh, hey, how you doing, man? This weather's amazing, blah, blah, blah. And you just like, yep. You've turned that person off, right? With the people who smile, smile. You don't have to be a jokester like him, but laugh at the joke. Or smile or say, yeah, the weather's amazing. Yeah, I love it. But the people who are not trying to talk to you, don't be a clown to them because you're irritating them, right? You get it? So you have to build some rapport. When you sell a new unit, an HVAC unit, you sit at the customer's table. Why do you sit at the customer's kitchen table? You're an amazing guy, dude. You are incredible. Okay. Yeah, you are the man. It's like communion, right? It's your comfortable space. If I stand here and you're at the kitchen table and I'm saying, so these are your options, these are your HVAC options, blah, blah, blah. That's not nearly as powerful as me sitting at the kitchen table with you. And now I'm a person. I'm no longer this, because this is scary. This is dollars. All this means to people is dollars are leaving their account, right? But sitting at the table, what that means is I'm a friend, I'm an ally. Now, some companies use that for evil. Right? I believe you either use your powers for evil or you use your powers for good. But if I become an ally and I gain your trust, you better believe that I'm going to try to keep your trust. And I've done that before. Our company has lost a lot of money before. We've installed units before and it hasn't worked. And I tell the customer, hey, I'm going to do what it takes to make that unit work, even if it costs me more money than you gave me. Because I gained your trust. All right, hopefully do you guys learn something? I try to make it fun. Thank you. All right? Thank you.